Hey guys, it's Marissa here from Little House Living. I have been trying to get this video of my garden made forever, but I lost my voice and then I started feeling better and I got a sinus infection and then lost my voice again. So we're going to try this today. So this is going to be kind of early summer garden. I'm just going to give you a tour today of the main garden, which is where I have most of my annuals planted. And then I'll make another video showing you where I have the perennials and the greenhouse and the hydroponics. So come on inside my garden with me. Looks like we have a little friend joining us today, and maybe he'll help give a tour. So I hope you enjoy this garden tour. Okay, so this is the entrance to my annual garden. Garden we call it. My garden is not perfect. It's not as pretty as some of the gardens you see on YouTube, but it is functional and it grows food. So I'm going to show you today. So new to my garden this year is I did plant some clematis. It's going to grow up this trellis. I planted it next to this blackberry that this is its third summer. I'm not sure. It's alive, but not sure how well that's going to do. So, and then I just kind of stuck some flowers in some random pots this year. I didn't plant anything in these planters because I just run out of time. So the first bed is here, and I have a couple of little herbs and some pots right here. I don't know how well they're actually doing, but they look edible. So this bed is a garlic bed. I planted this in October last year. I can't remember this variety of garlic. This one seems to be doing okay. This part is the garlic, and then I do have a little bit of shallots up here, which didn't grow nearly as well as I was hoping. But the garlic looks like it's doing pretty good. And then on the ends of this bed and the next one, I have peas that are starting to grow up the trellis, and they're looking pretty good. It is almost the end of June and I don't have any blossoms on them yet, but I'm sure it's coming eventually. They look pretty good. So same with this bed. I have peas growing up both ends on this trellis, which is this is just a hog panel that we stretched over the top and screwed to the bed in the bottom. And then this bed has beets and turnips. The turnips are just about ready. I probably could pick some if I really wanted to. And these beets kind of came in a little sporadically, but they look okay. This is a new variety that I'm trying this time. I can't remember what it's called, but it is from Prairie Organics in North Dakota, and it's a special kind that they have. So, but yeah, these are just a regular white turnip, and they look like they're doing pretty good. So probably pick those pretty soon and have some turnips for supper. If you haven't seen a tour of my garden before, my garden has a massive fence around it because we have elk on our property. So we have to make it elk proof. It's about 6 feet tall. Taller with the posts here, but it does seem to keep them out. And then around the perimeter of the entire garden, I have different kinds of fruit-bearing shrubs and trees. This particular side of the garden, this is the south side. They're kind of hard to see, but these are the crab apples. Bought everything from the conservation district, so they were just little tiny twigs when I got them. This is their third summer, and I think that they're doing pretty good. And then right next to them, which is super hard to see, but this is an apricot. I think I have 6 or 7 apricots throughout the garden, and they seem to be doing really well too. So, oh, here's my buddy. Hey, buddy. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that this is the cat that decided he wanted to be rescued. We found him last summer. He came up on our deck and he was not doing well at all. The vet said that it looked like somebody tried to set him on fire. So we babied him for a while, and he's super healthy and friendly. He loves being my garden kitty. Okay, right here, this is really hard to see in this morning light, but this is a raspberry patch. My buddy's gonna show it to you. These raspberries are 3 years old now, or this is their 3rd year, and they seem to be doing really good. All of these little shoots down here are coming up from the roots, so what's in here is healthy. This side of the bed is yellow raspberries, so they should produce in the fall. And then I didn't have anything over here, so thank you. So I planted some, and you can see my new little guys are just starting to get some leaves on them. And these are a raspberry that I got from the conservation district, but they look pretty good so far. So you're just gonna be a pest today, aren't you? Yeah. All right, so this big tree here is also hard to see. This is a plum tree. It has not produced anything since we've lived here. It was here when we got here. It's probably because it doesn't have a pollinator. I did plant some other plums, but they're not quite old enough to blossom out yet. So I love the tree though. We fixed it all up this year and put mulch around the bottom. It was just overgrown with weeds and a huge mess. So we trimmed it all up, and then I just stuck some flowers in some pots, which don't look like they're doing very good. There's also some chives that are growing around this tree. So that's kind of cool. The kids like to come out here and just eat them. All right, we have 2 beds in the back of the garden. This is where I run my soaker hose to. So this bed is supposed to have carrots and beets. It looks horrible, so I just replanted it yesterday. I don't know if it was just really bad germination rate or if it just got too cold after I planted it. Excuse me, you're not helping. Come here. But hopefully the second batch of plantings will come up. You can see there's a couple beets, but not very many. And then there is some carrots back there, so I'm just going to kind of leave them and see what happens. And then this back bed, I planted beans, and then on this side is some cabbage and Brussels sprouts, which I've never grown before, so we'll see how well they do here. I'm not sure if we have a long enough season to sustain them, but they were on sale at the store, so I decided to buy a bag and see how they did. In this back line, you can't see them, but I have apple trees, and they are new, so they haven't produced any blossoms. And then we also added this apple tree, and this is a Freedom apple. I've never had one before, but it looked really beautiful. The stem is super thick and healthy on it, and it was blossoming. So I bought it so my other apple tree, which was here when we got here, would have a pollinator, and we were really hoping we would get apples this year because we've never had apples in the 3 summers that we've been here, and they did pollinate. Get pollinated. Let me see if I can find, there's one. There's an apple, and I'll show you the big apple tree that I have in just a little bit. So, hi buddy. Is this your tree? Is this your spot? He likes to lay right here by this rock where it's kind of shady and cool. Yeah. Okay, and then this is the north side of the garden, and it has plum trees planted all along the fence line. You can see into my other garden there, and I will do that tour in a separate video so this one doesn't get super long. But I have plum trees. These are not like a typical plum like you'd see in the grocery store. They're an American plum, which makes those really like dime to quarter size plums, which are super tasty, and they grow really well here. So that's what that is. This bed, hard to see, but there is strawberries in there. Some of those were here when we got here. The bed is really difficult to manage, so I may have to add more mulch next year and try to figure it out. Then this is another raspberry patch. It was also here when we came. I don't know what kind of raspberries they are, but they have never produced. We have tried cutting them down. We've tried leaving them. I don't know what their problem is, but they don't like me or something. So we're gonna keep trying. It's a nice patch, but I'm not sure why it hasn't produced yet. So these 2 beds are my low tunnel beds, and these were planted in April. Unfortunately, we had some really bad freezes still in May, and some of the stuff froze, and I had to replant it. They have a piece of plastic that goes over them and makes a greenhouse type of situation, and usually that works pretty good. Unfortunately, one of the storms that we had where it got really cold, it was really windy, and so the wind blew the cold air in the tunnels, and that's what made them freeze. But otherwise they look really good. I leave the plastic on for the summer in case it hails, and then I can easily cover them up, which I've had to do multiple times this summer. It's very typical for South Dakota. So in these beds I have broccoli and cabbage. I'm not sure, maybe cauliflower also. I can't remember if that ended up getting planted. The broccoli is looking pretty good. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah. So it's just about to where we can start harvesting it pretty soon. I also have interplanted lettuce and kale in these beds, and it just helps to have something that kind of fills the space until the broccoli and cabbage is bigger. I tried all different lettuce plants this year. I've always struggled with my lettuce not looking very good and bolting really quickly. This is, I cannot remember, but it's either Lovelock lettuce or magenta. And I chose this kind because it's supposed to be heat tolerant and be able to withstand not as much watering. It's doing really, really well. I don't know if you can tell, but these patches of it are huge and it's really tasty. So thank you for showing us. Anyway, I'm really happy with it. It does seem to do really well without a ton of water. You're just being a pest today now. This is a red kale, and the seed I think was one that I just got for free from Baker Creek when I ordered. And no, this is not from animals or pests. This is from my children thinking that they need to just eat straight out of the garden, which is okay with me. So yes, we've got some broccoli coming in here. It looks really good. So this lettuce is kind of hard to see because of its color. Thank you. This is a Merlot lettuce, and it's really pretty. It was also supposed to be good for low water areas, and obviously you can see like it hasn't done nearly as well as this big beautiful lettuce. So I'm glad I tried several different kinds because now we know what we can plant next year. And you just stuck some flowers on the edge of the beds, and that's what's in those. And then we'll go right over here. This is my little zucchini patch, zucchini and squash. I planted a special kind this year, and it got hailed out the day that I planted it, which was a huge bummer. So I replanted it from seed, and it did not come up, except for one. The rest I had to buy little plants from the store. So I've got, I think this side is squash and this side is zucchini. And then this one plant is the one that did come up from seed. I will have to look at the exact name of it, but it's a special kind of like a striped zucchini, and it's also supposed to be really good in the heat and without a lot of water. And I can say that even though the plant is really small, I've been able to compare it to these just like typical, whatever this is that I planted. Whoops. This is just the zucchini that I planted. On the days that are really hot, this other zucchini just looks like it's completely dead, all the way drooped over, and this plant still looks really good. So there definitely is something to be said about the heat tolerance of that plant. I will look up the name and I'll put it down below so you guys can have it. But I want to plant some more of it next year. Hopefully, sorry buddy. Hopefully it won't get hailed out or eaten by the cat. And then in the rest of this bed I have beans. They kind of came in a little or the cat laid on them, I'm not sure which one. These are yellow wax beans. The other beans that I have planted are the red beans that I planted in the previous years. They grow really well and they're super easy to see and pick. Just one thing I really dislike about green beans is they're so difficult to see. So we eliminate that problem by planting colorful beans, and they grow really well. So those are my beans. And this is a nice big weedy mess. I have 2 asparagus patches here. This is a first-year bed, and this is a second-year bed. We were able to harvest some out of that bed this year. Not this one yet. And then I also have some herbs growing in here. There's some chives down there and some dill over here. And this is my bigger apple tree that I have in the garden. This one was here when we got here. It has never produced anything since we've been here because it didn't have a pollinator. But since we got one this year, it actually has little apples all over it. Let me see if I can find. They're so hard to find when they're little. Yeah, there's some little apples in there. So I don't know what kind this is, since it was here when we bought the place, but I guess we'll see what kind of apples it produces this year. We're just super excited to have anything on it at all. I thought that all of the blossoms froze off because we had a super late frost, but they obviously didn't. So got that. So if anyone has tips on what to do to prevent the weeds in an asparagus patch, please let me know, because this is what mine looks like and it's not pretty at all. But it is functional, but it is really hard to find the asparagus when the weeds start growing. Up here we have the rhubarb patch. I didn't plant anything at all in here this year. I don't know why, other than time just kind of got away from me. Next to the rhubarb patch here, I have another asparagus patch. Honestly, like if I had planted asparagus or had thought about it, I did not plant this bed. I did plant these beds, but if I had thought about it before, I would not have planted them in the garden because they're so difficult to maintain, and they look so messy. And then behind that is another bed of garlic. That one is music garlic. It looks extremely good. I'm really excited to see how well it does. And yeah, you can see my second garden behind this one with the greenhouse in it. And like I said, we'll do that on another video. But this is my garden for this year. It is not super huge. I am not planning, we will save whatever extras we have, but the main purpose of this garden was just to have fresh eating for us and for whoever happens to be staying here with us this summer. We have a full hookup RV site on our property now, and so we have people staying with us, and I think it's booked through the whole summer. So we like to share whatever abundance we have and just have this space as a place for people to come and sit in the garden. I do have some chairs over there. I'd like to add maybe like a hammock or a swing in the other section of the garden just to have this as more of a relaxing place. So that's what my garden looks like this year. I think it actually looks pretty decent so far, despite having hail multiple times since I planted the garden this year. So hopefully we'll get some things out of it here soon. We've gotten a lot of rhubarb. The rhubarb is almost even starting to wind down already for this year, but we've gotten lots of rhubarb already. And strawberries, plants have strawberries on them. The broccoli will be ready to pick any time. We've been picking greens for several weeks now. So overall for zone 4, I think it's looking pretty good for the summer, and since it's just kind of the middle of June. And Trouble says we'll see you later.